64,000 is the median number of words per book. Average person reads about 200 words per minute. Simple math will tell us that is one book in 320 minutes. To accomplish this in 7 days, numbers say you would have to read for 45 minutes a day. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification button, like, comment, and share. Enjoy. Hello, and happy day. How does slowing down sound to you today? Would you like to reduce the noise for just a bit, and are you ready to make a choice and decide to listen? My name is Igor, SF Walker. I'm here to remind people to slow down, to reduce the noise, to walk their lives into a natural flow. Welcome back to the Book of the Week series. Every week as I read another amazing title, I share it with the world. And today we look at Synchronicity, an Acausal connecting principle by C.G. Jung. In this video, we're going to look at the causal relation between the psyche and the physis. We look at chance and coincidence, causality and synchronicity. We will discover what happens when the meaningful coincidence or cross-connection of events that cannot be explained causally, what then is the connecting principle? Stick around till the end. I will share with you some tools I haven't used that will help you tremendously in this game of life. Discover a way to find out what actually motivates you. What innate human need is driving all of your decisions and your behavior. I will share some tools to improve your self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and relationship management. Natural laws are statistical truths, which means that they're completely valid only when we are dealing with macro-physical quantities. In the realm of very small quantities, predictions become uncertain, if not impossible, because very small quantities no longer behave with the known natural laws. The philosophical principle that underlies our conception of natural law is causality. But in the connection between cause and effect, turns out to be only statistically valid and only relatively true, then the causal principle is only of relative use for explaining natural processes, and therefore presupposes the existence of one or more other factors which would be necessary for an explanation. This is as much as to say that the connection of the events may, in certain circumstances, be other than causal and requires another principle of explanation. The experimental method of inquiry aims at establishing regular events which can be repeated. Consequently, unique or rare events are ruled out of account. Every answer of nature is therefore more or less influenced by the kind of questions asked, and the result is always a hybrid product, the so-called scientific view of the world. Based on this, can hardly be anything more than a psychologically biased partial view, which misses out all those by no means unimportant aspects that cannot be grasped statistically. Chance, we say, must obviously be susceptible of some causal explanation. And it's only called chance or coincidence because its causality has not yet been discovered. We should then have to assume that events in general are related to one another, on the one hand as causal chains, and on the other hand by a kind of meaningful cross connection. Lack of interest and boredom are negative factors. Enthusiasm, positive expectations, hope and belief in the possibility of ESP make for good results and seem to be the real condition which determined whether there are going to be any results at all. I would like to call attention to a possible misunderstanding which may be occasioned by the term synchronicity. I choose this term because the simultaneous occurrence of two meaningfully but not causally connected events seems to me an essential criterion. Therefore, using the general concept of synchronicity in the special sense of a coincidence in time of two or more casually unrelated events which have the same or a similar meaning, in contrast to synchronism, which simply means the simultaneous occurrence of two events. Synchronicity, therefore, means the simultaneous occurrence of a certain psychic state with one or more external events which appear as meaningful parallels to the momentary subjective state, and in certain cases, vice versa. Synchronistic events rest on the simultaneous occurrence of two different psychic states. One of them is normal probable state, i.e. the one that is causally explicable, and the other, the critical experience, is the one that cannot be derived causally from the first. Synchronicity, therefore, consists of two factors. A, an unconscious image come into consciousness, either directly, i.e. literally, or indirectly, symbolized or suggested in the form of a dream, idea, or premonition. And B, an objective situation coincides with this content. The one is as puzzling as the other. Let's look at a situation created in a laboratory, a situation which is artificially restricted to the questions and which compels nature to give an unequivocal answer. The workings of nature in her unrestricted wholeness are completely excluded. If we want to know what these workings are, we need a method of inquiry which imposes the fewest possible conditions, or if possible, no conditions at all, and then it leaves nature to answer out of her fullness. In the laboratory experiment, the known and established procedure forms the stable factor in the statistical compilation and the comparison of the results. In the intuitive or mentic experiment with the whole, on the other hand, there is no need of any question which imposes conditions and restricts the wholeness of the natural process. It is given every possible chance to express itself. If, and it seems plausible, the meaningful coincidence or cross-connection of events cannot be explained causally, then the connecting principle must lie in the equal significance of parallel events. In other words, their teritium comparationis is meaning. We are so accustomed to regard meaning as a psychic process, or content that it never enters our head to suppose that it could also exist outside the psyche. But we do know at least enough about the psyche not to attribute to it any magical power, and still less can we attribute any magical power to the conscious mind. If therefore we entertain the hypothesis that one and the same transcendental meaning might manifest itself simultaneously in the human psyche and in the arrangement of an external an independent event, we at once comes into conflict with the conventional scientific and epistemological views. We have to remind ourselves over and over again that merely statistical but validity of natural laws and of the effects of the statistical method in eliminating all unusual occurrences, if we want to lend an ear to such hypothesis. Great difficulty is that we have absolutely no scientific means of proving the existence of an objective meaning, which is not just a psychic product. We are, however, driven to some such assumptions if we are not to regress to a magical causality and ascribe to the psyche a power that far exceeds its empirical range of action. The causality principle asserts that the connection between the cause and effect is a necessary one. The synchronicity principle asserts that the terms of a meaningful coincidence are connected by simultaneity and meaning. We must completely give up the idea of the psyches being somehow connected with the brain, and remember instead the meaningful and intelligent behavior of the lower organisms, which are without a brain. Then we must ask ourselves whether the relation of soul and body can be considered from this angle. That is to say, whether the coordination of psychic and physical processes in a living organism can be understood as a synchronistic phenomenon rather than a causal relation. The assumption of a causal relation between psyche and the physis leads, on the other hand, the conclusion, which is difficult to square with experience. Either there are physical processes which cause psychic happenings, or there's a pre-existing psyche which organizes matter. In first case, it's hard to see how chemical processes can ever produce psychic processes. And in the second case, one wonders how an immaterial psyche could ever set matter in motion. The synchronistic principle possesses properties that may help to clear up the body-soul problem. Above all, it is the fact of causeless order, or rather of meaningful orderness, that may throw some light on psychophysical parallelism. The absolute knowledge, which is characteristic of synchronistic phenomena, a knowledge not mediated by the sense organs, supports the hypothesis of a self-subsistent meaning, or even expresses its existence. Such a form of existence can only be transcendental, since as the knowledge of future or spatially distant events shows, it is contained in a physically relative space and time, that is to say, in a irrepresentable space-time continuum. How often have we not found that the so-called superstitions contain a core of truth that is well worth knowing? And there you have it. Synchronicity, an acausal connecting principle. Please do help out. It is easy. Simply like this video so more people can enjoy it. Share it too and spread the word. Leave a comment and share your thoughts. Do subscribe to my channel and stay up to date. And the link to this book is in the description below, so buy it and read. Never stop learning, especially learning about yourself and nature. So gift yourself by taking the free human needs test on my website and find out what actually motivates you, what innate human need is driving all of your decisions and your behavior. And if you feel you are ready to improve your self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and relationship management even further, do check out my Master of Life Awareness program. The links They're in the description below. Thank you. Love and respect.